Okay, so I manage Rainy Pass Repair. I don't know if you've heard about it, but our owner started out working here at REI, and he was an avid skier, so he was going to design school because he wanted to design ski wear, better ski wear. And while he was working here, he found out that there's a huge need for repairs. So back in like 1986, they started doing repairs out of a house. And so we've had a long history with REI. And what we do is sewing repairs and alterations. So when you say outdoor repairs, people get confused, very confused. So a lot of times we get camp stoves, we get lawn chairs, we get everything under the sun. And they're like, you do outdoor gear, like that, we sew. Like, we can't get your lawn chair under the sewing machine. Like, so it's a lot of fun. We also get people coming in thinking we fix wedding dresses or suits. No, yeah, we do sew, but we do a very specialized sewing. So we're the only authorized Gore-Tex repair shop in the country. So Gore-Tex is our main fabric, but we also work with other fabrics. So, but waterproof breathable is a big thing. So that's our main fabric repair. But we also do down, packs, tents, sleeping bags. So we'll launder those. We do down evaluations, and we restore sleeping bags and all of that stuff. So it's very interesting. But one of our big problems is sewers. Finding sewers that can do what we do is very, very difficult. We don't get the same repair twice. We're all over the board. It could be from one thing to the other. So they're not just like a regular sewer that goes and from production and they have a map and they follow their pattern and they can do this. It's like, oh, this thing is just destroyed. How do we fix it? And so it's a lot of thinking and sewing skills. So we have to really protect our sewers, and it's like a year-long training process before they even can like keep up with what we're doing, because it's so different and everything is different. As far as sustainability, our big problems is that construction of all these items is getting really, really intense and wickedly difficult, but the price is going way down. So when you're producing things for $50, a $100 repair isn't feasible. And so we also have issues getting materials for repairs. We recycle everything. So whatever comes to us, if we can reuse the fabric, we pull all the fabric off and we use it and we reuse it on other repairs. If we can reuse the buckles, the snaps, the sliders, the toggles, everything we keep. We have bins and bins and bins of stuff that we've harvested off of old people's gear that they couldn't repair. So we do that, and then if we can't reuse it, then it goes to the thread cycle. So we take bags and bags of stuff that we can't repurpose because it's delaminated. Any of you guys familiar with delamination? Oh, I tried to find an example to bring, but I oddly couldn't find a good one. So your Gore-Tex, all your waterproof breathable fabrics have a lifespan. There's a point where there's nothing we can actually do about that, period. We can't really work on it. It's not gonna be waterproof. It's gonna keep failing. And so a lot of that is where we have, there's nothing we can do, and it has to go to thread cycle. So we're very thankful for that, because there's a lot of things that we actually can't fix because it actually has a lifespan, which is not necessarily your lifespan. So we have to explain that to people because they think we have we have a lifelong guarantee. Well, that fabric has a lifespan, not your lifespan. So it's kind of a education process with our customers that is very interesting. The professor that talked about the consumer issues. So we have a lot of folks that want their stuff repaired because they're trying to do the right thing, and we're so thankful for that. But at the same time, they want it done for what the item cost. And if they spent $50 on their item, but they have a zipper that has a lining, that has a storm flap, that has grow grain underneath the zipper, we have to take all of those things apart, get the zipper back in, put it back together. We only have 2 sewers that are physically capable of doing that. It is a very difficult repair. So zippers are kind of a huge problem. And trying to get someone to spend the money on the coat that's still usable, but the zipper repair is extensive. It's kind of a real interesting sales process because they can go buy a new coat for $100. And it's kind of an interesting thing. So as we're looking at cost as a huge problem in our being able to repair people's items. So, for example, I'm just kind of doing loose studies to try to see when people will do a repair and when they won't. So I asked all my employees, and I was like, when you're arguing with them, trying to get them to get in, like, what is the price point? I mean, and it's about $100. If the repair is less than $100 and that item is worth more than $200, they will probably do the repair. But if that repair gets into $100 to $200, we have a real problem. And then over $200, that thing has to be worth more than $400 or $500. So we'll get people that will alter ski gear to work on it because ski gear is expensive. But when you're looking at just some regular coats or patching a 20-year-old sleeping bag that has a lot of problems because people use their stuff, that's our biggest issue is the cost. People can replace these items for way less than it costs us to repair them. So as you guys are thinking about in the future, as far as working with manufacturers and making things that will last, like we actually have the hardest time getting parts for a lot of these things. Like most of the manufacturers don't have their fabric, they don't have their zippers, they don't have their sliders, they don't have, because they're manufacturing overseas. So we're trying to do our best to get these things repaired for people, but we don't have the parts. So that gets really, really, really difficult. So if you're manufacturing things, get extra stuff so we can use it to fix things. Like have it so we can call you and say, I need this fabric or I need that zipper. Or send us extra anything. We'll find a way to use it. But the other like kind of big issue when we're dealing with customers is their expectations. So we're repairing things that are very broken generally. But if they're gonna spend $100, they think that we can make it look like it never happened. Like you didn't accidentally sit in the fire. This literally happened. Someone accidentally in their down coat sat in a fire. And we got this coat that was, duct taped to high heaven. And it was just unbelievable. And to fix it, to really fix it, it was gonna be like nearly $300. Luckily this was, I believe, an REI customer, so she was very down to earth, and she was like, I really backed into a fire, this isn't your issue. Is there any way you could just do something? And I was like, okay. She was prepared to duct tape it back up and just continue wearing it. And I was like, okay, well, in that case, I think we can come up with something better than duct tape. But it's not gonna match. It's not gonna look like it did originally. And it'll hold up, but everybody's gonna know that you sat in a fire. There's no way to hide that. And so those customers, we're very, very, very able to help generally. But the other ones that sat in the fire and want it to look like they didn't sit in a fire, nearly impossible. Like I can't, that's an expectation that is outside our scope. We would have to have the actual fabric we would have to spend hours relining, refilling down. Like it's a very complicated thing. So as you're dealing with your friends or your neighbors or your customers, buy clothes that actually fit you, because outdoor gear repair, like an alteration, like on shoulders, waist, groin area of a ski pant is really, really, really expensive. We can shorten sleeves, we can shorten ankles, but your clothes, you need to buy clothes that fit. and so making clothes that fit people is another thing that manufacturers and anybody out there is doing that. Like, people's sizes are changing, and you kind of have to have some variety in what you're doing so that they actually fit them. But we can do some of those repairs, but again, this is going to be really expensive. So the thing that we try to encourage people is to take care of their gear. So that's another thing that REI does really well, because we can't fix it. Delamination is the big one if it is not a functional item. So do your laundry. You need to launder waterproof breathable fabrics regularly and read DWR. And then as soon as you have a repair problem, send it to us, because the more it frays, the worse it gets. The harder it is to fix, the more it costs, the less you will recycle or repair it. So that's about it.
Solely on the sewist time, or how do you factor costs?
There's a lot of things in there. We're a business in Seattle, so we have to cover all of our costs in there. So that's all the admin time, all the time trying to educate them on what the repair would be, what it would look like, all of the our expenses for the shop. It's an expensive process. So, but we do charge by the sewist time mostly. But it is trying to cover all of those things, if that makes any sense.
Is there any coordination between tool makers in Seattle, like REI or things like that, on how they manufacture something so that when it does come to you, it's easier to repair?
No, actually. We have most interaction with REI, meeting with them in November, kind of trying to talk through some of these, but some of the other design companies don't really, it's not even on their radar yet, that they should actually think about repairing them, because we are so used to, in this country, Europe's way further ahead, but in this country, it's just use it, when it's done, you throw it away. And that's kind of how they design from my perspective. But I don't have a lot of input on that, which is why we're here.
To your point about making clothing that fits, do you make custom clothing?
We do not. No, we are so busy with repairs that there would be no time for that.
Other questions? I'm loud though, so it's fine. So I work for Health Safety Research. Would you be willing to, we have rolls of fabric that I know at our repair facility, if we don't have space for it, we don't know what to do with it. So it's basic tent fabrics.
We'll take anything.
We should talk.
Hi, I'm with Use Again. We do textile recycling with the bins that you see all over. We get people coming to us frequently saying, hey, manufacturers saying, hey, we have all these scraps. Can you do anything with them? That's something that we can't do anything with. do you have someone going out and hitting up manufacturers saying, give me your scraps? Because
I beg manufacturers for scraps on a daily basis.
Yes.
So if you have scraps, I will take those. I'll find somewhere to put them.
Great, thank you so much, Shannon. And again, please take